Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, March 5th. A very chilly morning here in the Mid-Atlantic region and throughout much of the northeastern quadrant of the nation, from the Great Lakes to the northeast U.S. all the way down to the Mid-Atlantic region. Temperatures are way below normal and will continue to be so right through the upcoming weekend, with a stiff northwest wind making it feel even colder than the actual air temperature for the next 36 to 48 hours or so. Then the high pressure system that is responsible for this cold wave here in the northeastern part of the nation will shift eastward to the western part of the Atlantic Ocean, and from there a broad southwesterly flow of air will first develop across the Central Plains, bringing a big warm up out in that part of the nation early next week, and then that warm up will expand into the eastern U.S. by the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame of next week. 60 plus degrees is likely for afternoon highs by the time we get to middle of the week. Wednesday afternoon, for example, in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, it remains quite warm on Thursday as well. And then there could be some showers, and the whole pattern tends to change by the following weekend or so. By the middle part of the month, it looks like we have a return back to winter's cold in the northeastern part of the nation. Now let's kind of jump forward to that possibility for the middle of the month, the second half of the month of March, for the possibility of a return back to a colder weather pattern in the northeastern part of the nation. This is the ensemble run of the European model from last night for the 17th of March. And just first of all, notice this large area below normal heights here. What we're looking at, 500 millibar height anomalies, really extending all the way from Siberia across the North Pole into the Canada and Greenland area and down into the western part of the U.S. Again, this is a forecast map for the 17th of March. Watch what happens once we get a few days later. Here we go, by the 20th. Notice the shift to the east here of this upper level trough into the eastern part of the nation. Again, this is an ensemble run which tends to smooth things out with time. So this is pretty impressive cold, extending from really Siberia across the North Pole into Canada and Greenland, and now a trough starting to set up across the the eastern part of the U.S. Again, this is a 500 millibar height anomaly forecast map from the European ensemble run last night for about the 20th of March. So again, we do have a big warm up coming to the eastern half of the nation next week, but it looks like that is not the beginning of spring. It looks like a return to some winter cold is likely by the middle and the latter part of the month of March. Whether or not it comes with a snow threat still remains to be seen, but obviously the first thing you need for snow is a return to a colder than normal air mass, and it's got to be much colder than normal as we get into the second half of March, because temperatures climatological basis are creeping up now, so you have to be some 10 to 20 degrees below normal for snow in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. But this raises the possibility that it cannot be ruled out yet, let's put it that way, for the second half of the month of March. Well, let's take one more look ahead, this time using the ensemble run of the GFS from last night. And what we're looking at here are 850 millibar temperature anomalies averaged out over 5-day periods. This is the current 5-day period, and again, very cold today, and it will remain below normal across the eastern U.S. for the next couple of days. But then we'll watch as we move forward in a rolling 5-day period. Look at this, much above normal by the time we get to days 5 to 9 right here, which is basically next week, March 9th to March 14th. A different story by Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the Mid-Atlantic region, in the northeast U.S., compared to what we're experiencing right now. Again, 60 plus degrees, quite likely in places like D.C., Philadelphia, maybe even New York City can reach 60 degrees by the time we get to next Wednesday. It stays warmer than normal on Thursday as well, but that's when pattern starts to look like it'll start to change. We may have some showers later in the day Thursday, and within a couple of days of that, a cold frontal system will start to drive from the northwest to the southeast and returning some winter cold into the eastern part of the nation for the second half of March. Here we go, keep moving forward here. go all the way out. This goes out as far as days 12 to 16 right here, March 16th to the 21st. And look at this, below normal temperatures now throughout much of Canada, extending down into the central U.S. and even starting to show up here across the mid-Atlantic region. Again, this is an ensemble run. It tends to kind of smooth things out, but quite a change here from next week to the following week, and we'll continue to monitor that over the next several days. Well, now let's take a look at the surface forecast maps from last night's operational run of the GFS at 0Z. A lot of isobars showing up here between strong high pressure over south central Canada and low pressure off over the northern Atlantic. A tight pressure gradient translates to strong winds at the surface, and indeed we have some stiff northwest winds not only today but tonight into the day on Saturday as well throughout the northeastern part of the nation, making it feel even colder than those ambient air temperatures, which are well below normal for this time of the year. Let's move forward here through the chilly weekend in the northeast, and here's that high pressure system that is going to shift to the south and east over the next few days, and by the time we get to the early part of next week, it's all the way down to the southeastern coastline and really building over the western part of the Atlantic. And since winds blow clockwise around highs, from this position you have a broad flow of air out of the southwest pushing to the northeast. And here is that significant warm-up, first starting in the Central Plains Sunday, Monday time frame, and then that pushes all the way into the Mid-Atlantic region by Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. And the core of that warm-up will be over the central part of the nation, the plains, all the way up into the upper part of the Midwest. They'll get even greater temperatures relative to normal on the warm side compared to what we'll experience in the Mid-Atlantic region. But here's that high pressure area off the Mid-Atlantic coastline out over the western Atlantic. And again, it keeps us warm in the northeast all the way through Thursday, but at which time there'll start to be some showers showing up to the north and west as a frontal system starts to slowly work its way from the northwest to the southeast. This is the forecast map for Thursday morning. Let's move forward here, and here we have another reinforcing cold frontal system by the time we get to about a week from now, next Friday night time frame, and start to show some return to some colder air here by next weekend. We're talking like 8-9 days away from now. This happens to be a forecast map for Sunday, the 14th of March. Cold high pressure showing up again over the southeastern part of Canada. Blue showing up again, even in the Mid-Atlantic region. Blue representing areas of snow here as depicted by the 0Z GFS model run. And this may be something we'll have to watch in a week to 10 days or so as the pattern gets back to some winter cold during the middle part of March. And it looks like that colder pattern will stick around probably throughout much of the second half of the month of March in the Mid-Atlantic region, in the Northeast, maybe even the Great Lakes and Midwest as well. So we have a big warm-up coming across much of the eastern half of the nation next week. First beginning in the Central Plains, Sunday, Monday time frame. Then it expands into the eastern states Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Could have 60-plus degrees, certainly for highs by Wednesday afternoon in places like D.C., Philadelphia, maybe even 60 degrees in New York City. But looking beyond that, it looks like winter cold will have a return back into the northeastern part of the nation during the middle part and certainly the latter part of the month of March. So that's it for now for PerspectaWeather.com. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.